until it comes up. Go up to the button and press, no, there it is, there it goes.
Okay, you're recording, all right.
We're recording.
Okay, now I'm calling it to order twice. All right, so, approval of the minutes, I read over the minutes, don't see any.
Motion to approve minutes from
September 7th.
September 7th.
Yeah,
Second.
all righty, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, do we have any audience comments, Ed?
There was none submitted by email, so.
Mm-hmm. And there's not much of an audience here, is there?
No, it's not. The public is invited though, so it's on
Right,
the website.
exactly, we do, it would be, and you know what, makes me, parking under that tree outside that I think is a bur oak, made me think of Clyde. Has anybody seen or heard from him?
I have not, no.
No.
Or Bill Brainerd either.
Yeah, you're right. Well, I would expect, like, Bill looked pretty not well the last time he was here. So, but Clyde seems to still be okay, so just wondering if anybody's heard from him. He was the one who had me get the little bur oak acorns, but they're so cute.
Okay. Yeah, I just parked underneath that tree. That's pretty.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, all right, so correspondence and announcements, the PACD monthly report.
Same as usual, there's in the minutes to show the PACD showing how they're using our dues money to our benefit.
Right. So it's nice that they keep us informed about that, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah, right, so that it was, you never know what's going on, so that was nice that they report to us, it's good. Okay, next up, I will, accept a motion request to file all bank statements for audit.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
And you see that number is high today, but
Yes, I noticed
after
that.
today it will not be if we approve the transfer. We go back down to where it usually is.
Right, but I don't remember. Yeah.
You mean we're getting paid for being on the board finally?
No, fortunately not. You're putting it at the wrong time. It's gonna be in the future though. We're just gonna get bazillions of dollars
Well, thank you though for doubling my pay.
again. Oops.
We froze for a second. But I did want to thank you for doubling my pay.
Always. Okay, next up is an emergency review motion to approve for deposit the following emergency review fees. Any comments or questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you.
Second?
Alrighty, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the audit, motion request to approve the completed Conservation District audit for 2020, which looks pretty good.
Yes,
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I'll give you a little bit of background here.
Sure.
We went back and forth on the county support number because it's been something we've tried to figure out for years. But basically, the county and operating funds provides $32,172. And the other cost share that they give to us are the fringe benefits, which this is an estimate that's provided by the budget department a few years ago. A formula that they have is $159,999 is what the fringe benefits cost. However, Howard Lazarus at our last budget meeting said that, well, he thinks that number is high. And I said, okay, when you change it, we'll change it, but that's the number we're using that we were given. So that looks good. It shows that we have a excess of revenue over expenditures, $154,197. A big section of that is because the low volume road was added this year. So $83,000 is in that program that was never in our budget before. And the other thing is there's a $25,000 possible overpayment from the state that Karen Books is looking into. They might have double reimbursed us for one payment. Yeah, so I brought it up to their attention. So it's been a couple months now. I need to reach back out to Karen to find out where that status of that is. But other than that, everything came out normal. The only thing we did a little different is the number that we had problems with is We got a funds that we hold because to balance the state fiscal year with the county fiscal year. So the money that we hold over, he has listed that as a liability. So that money, we have it, but it's owed to the county, and then once January rolls around and our budget is open for the calendar year, then we transfer it over to the county. So it's not a bill per se, but that's the easiest way to show it, that it's money that we have that's really not completely ours at this point.
Right, it's hanging fire and so
Hanging
on, yes. Alrighty, so now I will listen to a motion request to approve the audit.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. I'm just gonna make F's and R's now, I don't write it the word,
Yeah.
there we go. Okay, all in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion request, oh, this is an exciting item. Approval to purchase audio visual equipment for the Hunt Club meeting room.
Wait, you already did.
There we got it.
We carry this back and forth from Ari's computer.
We're all set up, it's such a smooth operation, look at it, the wires everywhere.
I'll vote to approve that purchase.
Alrighty. And do I hear a second?
Second?
And it sounds very exciting.
Well,
So will we put it where, oh no, we can't put it where the clock is, oh, I'm so sorry.
no, they're gonna mount the TV there because it's the
Uh-huh.
drywall.
Sure,
And then they're going to provide, the IT, Public Works Building and Maintenance is going to install it for us. Public Works, IT is going to provide a desktop computer to hook up to us. We don't have to keep bringing computers back and forth. Then they're gonna also put Wi-Fi in here eventually so that we will be able to have, use it for other purposes and other people be able to use the meeting room and be able to use the screen.
Venturing into the 21st century.
yes.
Yeah, exactly.
One
Rather
show
than
at a time.
having a PowerPoint shooting at the white wall behind the curtain.
So other departments and groups use this room and would benefit.
Right,
Yeah, oh,
exactly,
yeah,
that's what
oh, yeah.
that's what.
So we're not
everybody-
shouldering the entire expense of it.
That's correct.
Exactly, good point, Steve. Okay, so we already had the motion, everybody's in favor of this? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, another, to reimburse Chester County $240 for ACT services during the period of April to June. Okay, this is for the agricultural stuff, right?
Yes, it is.
All right,
And this one was for the shops at Ridge Road. They had to do an inventory and evaluation of some farming activity that was taking place.
I'll make a motion to reimburse Chester County for $240.
all righty, thanks, Randy. Second?
I'll go ahead. Second?
Oh, we'll give it to Steve this time because he's.
Good, yeah, you need new blood in there.
Joining the group. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, there are checks to be signed. So you want to talk about these?
Yes,
checks?
the checks or payments, the first one, transfer watershed specialist money. This is money that is direct deposited now into our account. And then we hold it, that's why it says October to 20th. The balance of state calendar year versus the fiscal year versus our calendar year. So we hold it in our account and then transfer it over once we've had time to look at all the numbers. And they came in late this year. So I don't know exactly when that was received, but the next one was a transfer of the watershed specialist for $11,900 from January to March of this year. We also had, now this is the one that shows this problem with the 25,000
Right.
or 24,516 to be exact. Transfer the CDP FAP money. I subtracted from the 16,635 deposit we have for a payment from the state. So we have enough available in our account for 24,516 if they want us to pay it back directly.
Right.
Rather than give it to the county and then try to get the check back from the county would be very difficult.
Right.
So that's why it's $7,967.
Right.
Then what we agreed to when we hired the third technician was to transfer money over from our clean water fund. So that's, I estimated we could transfer over $30,000 from that fund to get us closer to our goal for the end of the year of $263,000 for revenue that we have to provide to the county before the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good. And then we have another one here under checks to be signed, the next.
Yes,
one is the-
it didn't make the list, but it's approved, it was already approved, it was a mini grant. Darby Creek Valley Association submitted their request for reimbursement for $500 for the mini grant. They were approved earlier, probably the spring,
Fall 2020.
fall of 2020.
Yep. There's a turnover there, so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
$500.
Okay, excellent, so I will sign them, what are they?
Yep, they're all right there.
Okay, all right. Okay, next up, old business. And this is an old business, memorandum of understanding between the district and county council.
I did send another plea to Mr. Martin, this county solicitor, to take a look at it. And ironically, it's probably something that would have come in handy because now they're looking, doing the budget and they're having some different people in the finance department and the budget department looking at numbers and things, and then they're wanting to know everything. Well, the memorandum lays that out, so they would have.
It would have all been clear already.
It would all have been clear already, but we haven't had that. So hopefully that is another reason why it would be advantageous to go through with this, or at least get back to us and say, we understand, we think we have an agreement, we don't need it, but one way or the other, I would say within this.
We'll do it their way if necessary, right?
Right.
Okay. Alrighty, and next up, Karen with the Facebook page update.
So this month we gained 1 follower.
Slow but sure.
Yeah, but we're keeping up with our posts, sharing things from our partners and interacting with them as well. So everything that we post isn't always, all that we're doing on Facebook. So we're constantly keeping those positive comments on other people's pages like Darby Creek Valley Association, CRC, and our townships. And then Facebook changed their format. So I don't know if you see, if I sent you out the summary of the Facebook page, but it looks different this time. And I think from this point forward, we won't do a monthly Facebook page update unless there's any big changes to the page or anything noteworthy.
Right, so we should all be checking into it from time to time, right?
Yep.
Beefing up our numbers.
So how many posts do you think we posted this past month?
Say between 7 and 10 would be my rough estimate.
So we're over our goal of what we're trying to keep up.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, try to do at least 1 a week, depending on what's going on that
Right.
week.
Each one is a photo usually?
A photo or a link or a video or sharing from another page.
So that's great, that you're still working and keeping them interested. We all need to
Right,
help
yeah.
promote this in some way and look at it ourselves and share it on our.
Right.
I saw the information today on the news about Facebook,
Oh, yeah?
about them perpetuating angry things
Oh, yes.
and try and get more,
Yeah,
shares and whatever with the, bad things, I guess.
There was
yes.
a whistleblower that
Yeah.
before the election, they were editing the content to make sure that didn't lead to riots and instigation of problems.
Right.
But then as soon as the election was over, they pulled some of that.
Uh-huh. And went back to it then.
Well, to me, the worst offense was what they do with that Instagram and shaming young girls and making them think that if they're not this, attractive young model type or whatever it might be, that they're not as good and that sort of thing. And they promote all that sort of stuff, and it's awful. It really is. They should be ashamed of themselves. Profits over, what's right for people.
Of the decency, right? Well, we're going to keep ours clean.
Absolutely.
Probably why you only got 1 follower.
So you're doing a good job of keeping it going anyway. This is good. All righty, next up, the conservation fee for service, the draft. Is it pretty big in here? Because I got it on the,
No, it's not in the packet. It's,
but I did get the email about it and look at it all. Yeah.
I'll give you a little summary of the things that I've tried suggesting to change. First item was the elimination of project area as the basis for the fee and switching to disturbed acreage, which is consistent with all the surrounding counties and consistent with what the state does. Project area initially was a problem for us because everybody was coming in with a little amoeba shape that they couldn't stick to. But now, because of the rules and the permitting and amendment process, everybody hasn't done that because that can get them in trouble and they have to modify their permit and stop everything. So it sort of worked its way out, so we no longer need to do that. The second item was the minor permit amendment fee without E&S review required fee of $200. There's just as much work going into processing the minor permit, and they didn't charge a fee, and everybody else has implemented a fee such as this to process these permit applications. Emergency review fees for individual permits noted as normally not being accepted because the state is the one that issues the letter. And I didn't think it was right that we're saying we're going to do an emergency review, and I can't give them the comments because it has to go through the state. Sometimes people will want it anyhow, and they'll just least way they will negotiate it ahead of time if they need to have something expedited. Now, the way I tried to think about changing the fee schedule is to simplify it, was to the fee schedule base fee of $700. So every line item we used to have for acreages would have a $700 fee, and then it would be just like the state. We would charge $100 per disturbed acre, and that would bring us up, and we still would not be as high as the surrounding counties, but we would make up estimated by taking that fee schedule and revising it to what we had last year. Plan submittal, it came out to about $40,000 more, and that was approximately 39 something is what we have in increased expenditures.
Right.
So we're in the ballpark there. We do that.
It's justifiable, right?
In my mind, yes. And the other thing is our fee, when we compared it, when Ari did that report, it's really a little bit deceiving because every other district has a 50% fee for the second review, and we don't do that. We very rarely charge for multiple reviews, probably twice last year when their plans were just really bad. Even the third review, we don't charge them for if we, with just a few comments left. So anytime that we would charge a fee for a different review, it would be, we would break that into comments and they would know it's coming. So it's not automatic,
So
but every other person does.
So we are going to charge for second reviews, third reviews?
No, I don't think it's fair, and I'll let the board decide, because I can make comments up just to make comments up. You know what I'm saying? And I want to be able to make comments. I don't want to have that pressure over my head that, okay, well, I'm going to charge them $700 to answer this question, because they need the answer, but it's not that big a deal. So it's just a lot of pressure not to put comments on. I'd rather be able to make the comments if I need them and improve the plans as opposed to charging them, especially when the state continually changes, comes out with new FAQs that no one can be expected to know what to expect. So I like to give them at least one chance to submit.
But is there if say it's a third time around, if you aren't paying attention to if the developer is not paying attention to the first two times you told them to do something, then there should be something for having to do it a third time, in my opinion.
Yeah, we do have that, but that's not usually the case. In other words, it's not when somebody fights with us about something. It's just that, okay, now you do a review comment, they give you the revision, and then they miss little something else. So it wasn't that they were trying to get by with something, it's just that because they responded to my comment, that generated another comment. So those ones I don't charge a fee for. The only ones I charge a fee for is if they completely ignore what I said, and then we had to start reviewing it all over again. And like I said, it happened twice last year.
Yeah. It just seems like they should really go out of their way to comply exactly with what you've asked them. We went through this in our township too. People keep coming back for, they'd be kicked to the side saying, no, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. They come back again, they maybe do one of the two things. Then there'd be a third time. And each time we didn't get any more reimbursement, though it was still the same amount of work of combing over what they're filing. So I do think in some ways, it's not exactly a punishment, but you should be paid for your time.
I think it's a game that the engineers play.
Yeah.
I'm totally convinced.
We're just one
It's
guy,
a
we
game
always.
that they play,
Yeah.
because you have an engineer that's on your planning commission, you know, that's the advisor, he's the one that picks out all the little stuff that needs to be fixed. And then meanwhile, the other engineer comes in and leaves little things out so they can keep coming back and doing more inspections and, yeah, guaranteed, I'm convinced it's a game they play.
Yeah.
And it got really bad 7 years ago, when the housing market, nobody was building anything.
Right.
I honestly think that the people who are spending the time to review the plans, like Ed in this case, who experience it and know firsthand whether or not somebody is trying to game the system and not really doing their job properly and doing their due diligence, Ed will know. And if Ed says, you know, it isn't right to charge if I make a comment and there's new things that come up as a result of my comment, and it makes me feel like, gee, I'm just sort of, it puts him in a funny position. He knows when people are not doing what they ought to be doing, and I would really rely on his judgment.
The other thing that comes up when you have that punitive system is that people don't want to submit again without going and meeting with you and taking up all your time on the phone to get everything perfect so they don't get the fee. So it's sort of.
It's a really good point. I know I would.
It goes back and forth. Yeah, it goes back and forth on that issue. So, yeah, like Frank said, you can tell when somebody's trying to game you a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I would think you would be able to. You've been at it a while here.
This is Linda. Could I just add a little something?
For $1.50.
Are you able to hear me? Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I sure can.
Okay.
So that's a really good, healthy discussion. I just wanted to lend a little bit of perspective. I think that the other districts, they do feel like they're circumventing being taken advantage of, number one. And I do agree, Ed, you have such close contact with these repetitive people that are submitting, the consultants and engineers that are submitting. So you certainly have a feel for it. The one thing that I would say that eliminates any unnecessary meetings would be a lot of the districts will charge a fee if it's at the consultant's request to hold a meeting. So there is that option. But you know, the discussion that you're having, I understand what you're saying, Frank, about letting it up to Ed, but it is.
We lost you.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me now?
Here now.
Oh, okay. So it is definitely, at least most districts consider it quite a quality control measure to have some are much more restrictive than others that you could almost consider it penalizing, but some of the more reasonable ones, definitely the third review, but sometimes on the second, and I don't know how you parse that out, but I agree with the philosophy that you want to work with them, but you really don't want to let any of them take advantage of your time. And we also need to consider what's coming down the pike in terms of e-permitting. So that's going to be unforgiving. So, they need to be prepared for knowing what they need to know before they make a plan submission once e-permitting starts rolling, which it is. It's slowly building steam. So that's something that you'll want to, they should be prepared for that. So anyway, I just wanted to say that. That's all. Thank you.
Well, the other thing I'd like to say too is not to lose sight of your mission. And what is the overall mission? Your mission is conservation, soil conservation, making sure we're not putting pollutants into our streams and mud and so on and so forth. And what is the best way to do that? And if the best way to do that is to make sure that people get the full breadth and value of Ed's knowledge in this area by being able to kind of go over some of these things and sit down and use best practices to protect our environment. That's what we're supposed to be doing, not worrying about dotting every I and crossing every T. So don't ever lose sight of what our mission has been anyway.
No, okay, I wasn't losing sight of that in any way, I don't think, but I just felt like if.
No, I didn't think you were at
If
all.
you have to put
No,
in
I
a lot of extra time.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't think you were at all. I just think the general idea that we need to penalize people for trying to get more knowledge and more information, not that you said that, you did not.
I don't.
It's a fine
penalize.
line that we kind of cross back and forth over. And we got to make sure that the job is done properly, that's what our mission really is.
Right.
Okay, that, the next issue was low hazard minimum earth disturbance speed, increasing that from 150 to 200. Adding the requirement to fold the plans, because we get these rolls in and we just don't have the day to deal with them, so they can fold them in different ways. Most of them can separate them out. And also have a requirement for resubmittals to have the comment response document and highlighted revisions, so we don't have to go and review the whole plan trying to find out where they made the correction at.
Oh, that's
So
good, right,
we
yeah.
had that requirement, but we've never taken the step to return them or say that we won't accept them until they do that. So that's what I'd like to add in.
Back in the day in our township when I was on the planning commission, the engineer was nuts about folding the plans the right way. It just drove him crazy. It drove him crazy. Oh, exactly. Okay. Well, these are very interesting. Thank you.
So then it brings us to the question of how you want to proceed, whether we move ahead to approve it and then go to county council, or do you want to take some time and vote on it at the next meeting?
Well, let's move it along now. They may blow back with something else, then we have to do it again. It's all like rolling down the road in some way. Perhaps we ought to just submit it, see what they have to say about it, as long as you're responsible for defending it.
Right.
Or whatever. But are you willing, do you think it's ready for that?
Yes.
Okay, all righty. So, does anyone want to make a motion that we submit this?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Okay, thanks, Randy.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Frank. Okay, all in favor?
All right.
All right.
Aye.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, next up is the county's MS4 permit activities.
Yes, this was an interesting month because we had to compile and submit our annual report. And the day we were getting ready to submit it, they actually gave us a review comments from our 2018 submittal.
Oh, not in a hurry, not in a hurry.
And I think it's because Mr. Brown is getting ready to move to another position, I heard. So she was cleaning off her desk, I think. But basically, the review was okay. I mean, they put a lot of canned statements in. The only thing that our plan really didn't have that we could probably work on is everybody's into these measurable goals and matrices. I've never wanted to put that in my plan because when you put it in the plan and you don't meet it, then the state thinks that's a violation. Well, it's not a violation. It's not even a minimal standard. So I've never put those type of metrics in our thing. Plus, we're different than a municipality in that the county plan, everything that we have to do for MS4 is controlled by facility managers. We don't have private property owners that we have to manage. So it's not as hard, it's not as difficult metrics that we have to meet. As a matter of fact, our targeted audience are just the facility managers, employees, and maybe facility people that come to the facility to use the facility. But then again, that is easier because that's controlled by Park Police and the County Park and Recreation Department. So those kind of things come into play. So I think we did pretty good. I wrote back and forth a little bit. We have to respond to it by next year's report. But really, if you looked at the report, you would see that it was basically some canned statements. It's nothing individual. They couldn't even find our submittal for last meeting, last year's report, because they didn't find it in their system. There's so many ways you can submit the report now. What was it, one base? Is that what?
On base.
On base is the way we submitted it, the way they directed us to, and they didn't find it. So I had to send them the link, and when we submitted it on March 15th of last year, and they were able to locate it. So they didn't even know it was in. So.
For the second.
So they're really understaffed in that section, and we still don't have our permit. That's another thing we did. But we're looking at various things to try to improve the program and how we're doing it. And some of that's going to take place within the Sustainability Commission, coming up with things on stormwater. So that planning in itself should meet some of our goals, for the measurable goals that we want to have in the future. And they raised the fee. So a permit that we don't even have cost us $2,500 rather than $500 this year.
Oh. It's quite the reason.
Yeah, that was the same fee they got charged to renew the permit, so which we haven't been renewed. So yeah, that was a little bit of a shock too.
So
But we're staying in compliance. That's the main.
that is what is the crux of the matter, and I'm good we are. That's a good thing. Okay. Alrighty, next up, ag preservation inspection.
Yeah, just wanted to let you know that Randy and the solicitor and I had a meeting and went over some things.
Oh, yeah, right, there was a question last time, right?
And I finalized the field inspection report. It's now being reviewed by the solicitor's office, and then I will send a copy out to everybody.
Okay, good.
Basically, we're trying to look through the gray areas in because we no longer have a ag preservation board. That is the mechanism where decisions are made on whether things are in compliance or not. We can't make those decisions, so we're going to ask the state to give us their opinion on things.
Okay, all right. Good way to go around it. Excellent. So, but everything's resolved here, right? Everything's fine?
Sounds like it.
I think so.
So far, so good, right? Okay, and next up, the spotted lanternfly update.
Yeah, so we, I think last time this room was full of boxes of spotted lanternfly circle traps. So we were able to distribute 335 of them, I believe. Sorry, 325 of them between 11 municipalities. So we had 2 pickup windows for them to come by the office and pick up their traps and the supplies and instructions. And then there were 2 I ended up having to drop off because the pickup windows didn't work for them. So we have 20 circle traps left over that we are offering to CRC and Darby Creek Valley Association. So we'll do 10 to each of those groups for them to put up at their project sites.
Excellent.
Then you get extra money that we decide.
Oh yeah, so we have, the grant was for $7,700 approximately, and we have about $1,400 left in that grant. And we were trying to think of ways to spend that money if we can.
Yeah, and one of them included buying some more traps, but I don't know. This year, I haven't gotten as many complaints.
Really? I mean, I'm always walking around and looking for spotted lanternflies, and we really have not had many.
A lot more stick bugs this year than last
I
year.
know, what's with the stink bug? They've taken over instead, right?
They know.
China coming after us, man.
Yeah, right, exactly, one way or another. Well, the other one was Korea. Where's the spotted lanternfly? Were they Korea? I think that was the story.
I just know.
A shipping thing from Korea.
Yeah.
At any rate, so maybe we should just gird ourselves and wait for the next thing.
Yeah, we may end up ordering some of the other traps, the circle traps that are a little bit different with a jug. So we'll have them for next year if we need them on our county parks, just to have them. I don't know where we're gonna store them, but we might be able to put them down in the basement.
Oh, there's a basement, and that must be creepy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Some of the more advanced traps go for a little over $100.
Oh, wow.
So we could look into getting a couple of those and set those up as displays, but, yeah,
What do they do different than more advanced ones?
they're a lot bigger, and the one thing that I noticed in the picture that they had is the top is more, it's a jar, so it's not a disposable plastic bag like the smaller ones that we have. It's just a jar that I guess you would detach and dump out the spotted lanternflies and then reattach it. As that was all I saw in the picture. I didn't get to see all the details, but I think that was it.
Where would you dump them? Just asking.
That's a good question.
But the same
They
thing you
are
do with the bags.
organic.
The bags are I don't know how they get so much water into them, but they get water.
Condensation, I would think.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but it just, and then the bags flop over because they're so heavy
Right.
that then the traps probably don't work as effectively because there's no space to get up in it.
Right.
So that's why we're looking at some of the bottles. But I thought there was other ones that were not quite that high.
Yeah, there are.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I don't know why there's such a big price jump in the $100 ones.
Right, it's kind of what Frank was saying, like, what's so special
Right.
about it?
Right.
Yeah, for $100, it ought to fly around and grab them and put them in its own little bag and
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Right, exactly.
So we'll take a look at that to be.
We to catch lanternflies, other things could fly in there also, right?
Other things have fun in
Yeah,
there.
see, I mean, I don't want birds or whatever.
No.
No, that's why we went to the circle traps.
Right,
as opposed to
exactly.
stick with which we still have some of that that's available too.
Hmm. So this is where we get to the part where it says payment to Great Lakes
Yes.
IPA.
So we purchased 350 circle traps from Great Lakes IPN. And there's a check there for approval for $6,051.53.
Okay. So would anybody like to make a motion to pay for these?
we'll move.
Second?
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. All right, next up. New business, a new low-volume road project for Smedley Park, yes. And Paper Mill Road, you mean the Paper Mill Road that's over near Smedley Park, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
There's another Paper Mill Road over in Newtown, right?
this one got Paper Mill Road, goes right by the Veterans Memorial, and it goes through the edge of Smedley Park. And at the end, there's a circle road that comes
Right,
around
I
the
think I've
park
been
lot.
on it, yeah.
And what happened there is they have a water quality basin, and it was never installed correctly. And the second part was there was an outlet structure, but people were using it as a four-wheel drive mud pit. And they ran over the outlet and they can't find the outlet now. It's buried. And then there's a trench drain across the road. Well, the trench drain was supposed to be the emergency spillway for the water quality basin. It was supposed to be tapered down on the end so the water would come up to the bottom of the trench drain and drain through. They just put a normal trench drain in. That the only way water can go into it is if it floods over onto the road. So the whole area was flooded. So we would like to come up with a way to put in a outlet structure and maybe a slightly larger pipe with a 4-inch orifice, and then we have a $2,000 grant already to do a planting project at the park. We're hoping to do it all by Earth Day next year. It's hard to find the estimates on how much it's going to cost to do what we want to do, and that's the thing that's holding us back. We got asking Toast Brothers to give us an idea. We have another contractor the Parks Department's working with, and then we have G.D. Hoopman just to give us an engineering estimate on what it would cost. We don't have any idea, but
nobody's come back with any numbers yet. These are just.
no, and I heard the problem is, and maybe that all the bids for every municipal project are coming in way over what you would think they are. I don't know what the problem is, whether it's lack of workforce or they have so much work pending. But everybody, even all the engineering estimates they're surprised when the bids come back in. So it's a weird time right now, I guess. Everybody's pretty busy.
I thought people were complaining that they couldn't get whatever hardware you needed to do this.
Yeah, there was
That's
a
another
problem
thing
with
too,
supply
right?
chain
Right,
too.
right.
Yeah, so there's lots of different reasons to do it, but so it's gonna be a little hard to figure out what it's gonna cost. There's certain things that we can do, scooping out some of the deposit of sediment over in organic material would be one thing that shouldn't involve that. We just need one little manhole. We could probably use the existing pipe, so we wouldn't have to change that. There's ways that we could make it work within the grant, but we have to get some initial pricing
Yeah,
for it.
you have to have some idea of what you're talking about.
Right, so we're working on that. That would have to be in by when?
Yeah, so the way the low volume road grant applications work, originally we were gonna do a demonstration project using low volume road funds. But then when I had, the guys from the State Conservation Commission and the Center for Dirt and Gravel Roads come down, they said you can just have your Parks Department apply as a regular project and go through the whole application process, have it, reviewed by the QAB. So we are working with the Parks Department to put together that application once we get an estimate. And that application and all the other low volume road applications are due at the end of October.
Oh, wow, so you have to step on it.
Yes.
Yeah. So I have a meeting Friday with Sharon Jay, who is the one that's doing some work with Public Works now. She's the interim director now, as well as working on some of the capital improvements. To talk to her about this issue, to see if we can have the county come up with some of the funds too to do this as
Sure,
well.
County Park, why not?
Right, so if we can match, try to matching funds for it. So if we run, it gets higher.
Right.
But something should be done because it's been hang firing for a long time.
Yeah.
It's not a good example.
It started out as a lovely park, very well done, and it was a shame that these things fall apart.
Yeah, we were down there doing the flood event. What was that?
Right after Ida.
Yeah, it was just, the whole area was, they had the road closed off. It was so flooded there.
Right.
And it wasn't coming from the creek. It was just can't get out of
We
the,
just did it here.
just can't get out of the basin area.
Right, exactly.
So it should be an easy fix. It's just how much that costs, I don't know.
It's funny how people can find people to work, isn't it? Or whatever. I don't understand that. You think after all this time, people would be looking to work. I don't know. There are a lot of different theories on why that is.
Like my wife's having the same problem with the restaurant. They've had to close part of the hours in their menu because they just can't get anybody to work.
Yeah.
And people are afraid.
I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't afraid to go out and have a good time at a bar, though. I mean, I noticed that. In
Yeah.
the summertime, you go to an outdoor place, it's like, so I don't get it. Oh, well. That's the way it goes, huh? Okay, so thanks for that update. This is very interesting. It'd be nice to have this rectified though in the park. It's such a lovely park.
Oh, yeah, no,
You know?
and we got the preparing buffers that we've been working on there, so we fix the park. This just needs fine tuning, and it would be a great thing to improve the functionality of that facility.
I really think they should make a point of the fact that you can get to it by trolley. I think that's one of the most delightful things in the world. You can get to it by trolley. If you live in an inner ring piece of Delaware County, you get on the trolley and get there out in the open space, It's really nice. Oh, it has been. Okay, thank you. Next up, report from Beth. Where's Beth? Not here with us today, not here today. Did you get a report from her? Not here?
No, we did not.
Okay. Next up, Linda. Is Linda still with us?
Hi, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can see your
Okay.
face with a little head.
What did you say? I'm
We
sorry.
don't see your face, but we see this little icon of your.
Right. Yeah. So I have a few things, just really quickly, and I'm sure Ed, you've been doing this for years, but when you change your fees for services, just send the new fee schedule out to Barb Buckingham with the commission, the State Conservation Commission. So I just wanted to remind you of that. And then you had mentioned Krista Brown, who was our MS4 person. I'm not exactly sure when her last day is, but it's really right around the corner. And she actually, it's worth noting, she is going to be still working out of the Southeast Regional Office, but she'll be a central office, answering to central office. And her new position is in the stormwater compliance section. She's environmental group manager. She'll be, I don't know if you recall Steve Servin yet. I'm sure the staff does. But the good news about that, being that she'll be doing stormwater compliance, is the long-awaited and long vacant since the reorganization move forward towards post-construction stormwater management compliance. So NOTs and everything associated with stormwater, BMP, installations, and maintenance. So that's a huge position that she's going to be filling. And given that she has the MS4 background, that's a phenomenal person to be filling that position. So we're really at. So I just wanted to share that. It'll take her a while to get her feet under her, but she at least knows what she's doing. And then I have a large section on my report from the Office of Oil and Gas Management. The only reason that I really included that, because, you know, we don't have wells here, but, you know, with the pipelines and transfer stations and so forth, you may be interested, or some of the board members or staff may be interested in tapping into the technical guidance document that I've attached. But I know nothing about that program, so I can't answer any questions. And the only other thing that I'll highlight from my report is we have had a lot of training going on for directors and staff. But the one that I really wanted to point out was in my report, it's under the Leadership Development Fall Webinar Series. And they're all great. And if you have the time, they're all being offered virtually as well as some are in person. But this one is virtual. And it's the Conservation Leadership and Environmental Justice presentation by Justin Dula. And he's housed in the Southeast Regional Office. And, you know, environmental justice, you know, we throw that term around, but it really has a lot of impact with almost all of DEP's programs and initiatives. So from planning to and permitting to grant priorities. Environmental justice is a big part of what we're considering now. So those the history of it, and he will be going through a very brief history of the program, and then he'll also have some mapping that shows environmental justice areas throughout the state. It's not just what many people would think. So, and again, the impacts that it has on how we operate our programs. So I would highly recommend. That's for staff or directors. So I think that people would be surprised and pleasantly surprised with some of the information shared in that. So I just really wanted to put a plug out for that. And I think that's all that I have, other than my, any questions anybody might have.
Yeah, thank you. And Justin Dool is
You're welcome.
was on our planning commission and on the APAPA Southeast Section board with me. I'm in the planning association, so he's someone I trust to do a good job with this. So that's excellent. Thanks, Linda.
Oh, you're very welcome. Okay, I'll mute myself now.
All right. Next up is Ed.
Yes, you have a copy of my report. I'll just highlight a few things, and if anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to handle them. First thing is we did have interviews with two consultants that the planning department is working on to do the MS4 Stormwater Management Model Ordinance update. It's called the 2022 ordinance. And there were two consultants that we interviewed, Meloria and Cedarville Associates, the other one. And it looked like Cedarville had the upper hand, and hopefully they're moving forward with trying to come up with funding to engage them to have that ordinance developed required by the MS4 program by August of next year. So that was a very interesting process. We had a meeting with the executive director and the budget, what's left of the budget department, to go over our budget, and ours was pretty simple for them, and we had no issues other than the issue of where to pay that $2,500 from. We're still up in the air with that. They added it to our budget for next year, so we may end up paying it next year, but it certainly, the risk management section paid for it before, and there's some discussion on whether or not it should come out of it. So we're working on that issue. And the other thing was e-permitting, and we were doing the 105 program. Chester Water Authority submitted 3 e-permits, and we couldn't get them approved for anything. It took 3 weeks to go through the process back and forth, and one of the problems was that they were exempt from the fee, and for some reason that caused an error. So the first thing they had to do was change that that requirement, took off the applicant fee, so it was some kind of glitch that they have that they're trying to rectify. Well, that happened to all 3 of them, and they wouldn't do all 3 at once. They would only do 1 at a time. So even though I had all 3, they were shut down like that. So they eventually, you had to go send screenshots back and forth, and they would fix one thing at a time. And then while we were trying to go back and forth and fix things one by one, the dates would change, and the dates would change, and then we're trying to say that the administrative review took place before the technical review, back and forth, and it just trying to fix things, and it was very awkward. I think we finally got 2 of them through. One of them still hang firing, but it's taken too much time. I could have had them all done in an afternoon, where it took 3, off and on for 3 weeks. So hopefully they'll work out these things. I've been working with them to try to address it. I called the regional office, and they weren't very happy with the system either, so they couldn't be much help on how to fix it. So we're sort of just working our way through that, and that's been out since October of 2018 that they've had this e-permitting. The first one was tough. We got it through. The second one went through with no problem. It even had problems with not having a P&DI, and we had to go through correction notices, and that went through easy. Then they made revisions, and whatever the revisions were now caused these problems, I think. So, and then they won't come back and tell me why the problems have happened. They just say, it's okay, go ahead and use it now. So it'll happen again. If I'm doing something wrong, then it's going to happen again because I don't know what I did wrong. So, and it's not intuitive on going through the process. They want you to go step by step by step. But I can't approve something unless I look at the document, which makes you get out of it, go to the document, open the document, review it. It's something that I would love to talk about, but no, it was a mandate that they had to get through, and it's not. Just like I said, all 3 of them came in at once. I'm working on one for the Franklin Mint, and that one was going through okay, except for they haven't submitted the clearance letter electronically yet for the Fish and Wildlife for a bog turtle. So hopefully that'll take care. So that's basically all I have. We have one plan that a couple of days over the review period now that I have almost done, but I should be able to finish it tomorrow.
I am interested to see that you went to the virtual public hearing on the Covanta air quality permit. What was that like?
People had a couple of concerns. One, they didn't want to have the trash burning in the city of Chester at all. And it
Yeah,
was
right.
environmental
I saw that,
racism and things, the
Yeah.
statements. The second part of it was, if they're going to have to permit it, people were concerned that there's other facilities that aren't 30 years old that have more testing requirements and more monitoring requirements, and that was a theme that I heard.
I thought it would make sense though, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
so,
Right.
so that was the two themes that ran throughout the meeting. It was probably 18 people, maybe, something like that, to testify. So I was there just to listen, and so
Yeah.
we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I remember working for League of Women Voters on it before it opened, and that's how we got household hazardous waste collection days. And now they need to be promoted more. People need to not throw those things in the trash and have them rain down on the people downwind of the facility. And I don't think they promote that as much as perhaps they should.
Yeah, I know that the Sustainability Commission is trying to do zero waste initiatives. I don't know all what that involves yet, but it doesn't sound easy. And they're going through the solid waste plan now. I did attend the county council virtually. The county council had a presentation on the solid waste authority and what's being done at the landfill is going through an expansion. They haven't approved expansion, but they haven't moved forward with it. They have to do, by 2 years, they have to do a solid waste management plan, and then the Covanta contract is expired next year. So there's a lot of things up in the air right now.
Right, so it's been in the news, and there's a lot of chatter about it with environmental things, so it just seems like maybe they need the Sustainability Commission and everybody else to kind of put a thrust on changing what we do. And of course, changing people's behaviors is not the easiest thing to do. You know, the idea of not having, reducing waste is not popular with people who have grown up throwing
Well,
everything
I
in
think public
trash.
education.
Yeah, right.
People don't know where to throw certain things away and do it properly.
And then, yeah, and one of the things is it doesn't appear on whatever news outlets those people are looking at. You know, you really need to have some basic place where everybody gets the same message and it appears across the board. Because people pick and choose where they're going to get their news or their advice or whatever, and things get lost.
Yeah, the other thing we know we have to pay attention on recycling is that it doesn't do the planet any good to collect all these materials and recycle, send it to China where they don't do any pollution control either.
Right, no problem. You know, just stop using them. And I know it's difficult for people to bring their bottle of water from home or whatever, but.
Oh, yeah, but I'm talking more like now with the electric cars and the lithium batteries, that's a major problem for mining the lithium, and then the disposal of the batteries is an issue that we haven't come to grips with.
And car fires.
And fire.
Those batteries can just combust.
Ooh.
But yeah, so there's a lot of things that need to be balanced, and I'm getting it from the Sustainability Commission. I haven't, and I have not heard from the industry side as much. They did testify at the hearing and had some input. They have a sustainability person at the Covanta plant too.
Oh, yeah.
I think the problem seems to be a lot of it has to do with size, how large it is too, and how it grew over time. Originally, I think it was only for county waste.
It
was restricted, and I
It
don't-
was restricted.
Now, how it evolved beyond
They
that.
stopped making enough money on just the county or enough whatever they sold back, the electricity. They stopped making enough money off of it. So then they searched for people who would juice what they generate electrically, the electric they generated by getting trash from all kinds of other places. And have no control over what's in that trash at all. Not that we have a lot of anything, of anywhere else, but it does restrict how well you can manage it.
And it has something to do too with tipping fees, because I know even up Colebrookdale, I've heard that they don't pay any property taxes up in Colebrookdale because the landfill pays all the tipping revenue. And the city of Chester, I heard, does have a significant amount of funds that they receive from the tipping fees. So Yeah, it's not an easy picture, and I'm glad that I'm not in charge of figuring it out. But I know that, I've listened to some of the presentations by county council, and, Councilman Ruther, who's on that board, is looking at both sides of the issue. And it seems like it's very interesting to listen to her talk about it, because it's an emotional issue for a lot of people that are directly impacted or believe that they're impacted. And what's gonna happen, how much is it gonna cost to do everything that we'd like to do to try to reduce it? So we'll see.
Right. It is, as you say, an incredibly complicated issue, and people's voices don't really, from either side, people are not listening to each other. I mean, that's a lost talent. I mean, So thanks for that report, Ed.
You're welcome.
Okay, next up, do we have Miss Michelle?
Don't really have anything big to highlight. Just we got 3 notice of terminations approved, so
Good.
3 things out of the filing cabinet.
Off your back, right?
Yeah. And that's really all I have unless anyone has questions.
Okay. Okay, next, any questions, anybody? Next up on my list here is Connor.
Yeah, not really too much either. I guess like the only real big thing was the first of the month we went up to DEP in Norristown for the first time in like a year and a half, so it was kind of interesting to go back there. There's like an enforcement hearing. Yeah, I don't think really anything else stands out.
Nice to get out of the county.
Finally, getting out.
That's a good thing. Because you get to like talk to other people there who are in your same position and have some kind of exchanges or.
Not for this meeting, but like, yeah, that will probably happen eventually. We
Right.
get back to like the round tables and stuff. With
Yeah, well, that'd be nice.
counties.
Yeah,
Yeah, they share like various their experience with it.
yeah, right, excellent.
And if we're gonna continue to use Zoom and Teams meeting, we're gonna have to require that the people start using the camera, because I don't even remember what some people look like. A lot of them, DEP people in other districts don't even, ever use the
All
camera.
right. Okay, next up is Ari.
I also attended that meeting with DEP in the first of the month. Other than that, nothing too big. Still working on that those expired permits. Michelle and I are gonna. She's helping me.
Clean that up, right?
She's gonna help me like compile where sites are easiest for me to hit all in one go. So we'll get those out of the way eventually. But yeah, if there's any questions, let me know.
You sent out about, what was it, 40 letters, you said?
Yeah.
And with very limited response.
I closed one.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
That makes you feel great, doesn't it?
It was satisfying. It was closed.
Right, exactly. Oh, good, that's good then.
Yeah.
So what the goal is then, is that these other 40, you've gotta have to do a windshield survey to see whether there's actually work still going on there, because that would be a severe violation, because they don't have an active permit, or whether it looks like it's closed out. Then we would just bundle those up and send them up to the compliance specialist to determine how they want to proceed.
Or whether they close safely or appropriately.
Right.
Yeah,
But
right. Exactly.
it's not a priority for them, because it's something that is in the agreement on what we're supposed to do, but it's also in the compliance document for stormwater that they can rank them and determine whether it's not worth spending the resources to force it. So we'll see how they want to handle it, but a lot of people will have. But the main thing is to make a decision so we can close our records and
Exactly.
clean up our
Exactly.
files
You
a
shouldn't
little
be
bit.
left with everything just hanging around you, that's not good.
I see Connor and Ari got the same two complaints. Working together on responding to those.
Yeah. Eddystone and Springfield.
Yeah, went out together and inspected them together.
Yeah, Ari's still going through the training a little
Okay.
bit, working with Michelle and Connor. That's coming to a close, but now we're still having, with the inspection process, there's always new variables, so there's always new opportunities on different things that he hasn't experienced yet that they'll go out together on.
Sure.
Little by little, we're making him more independent as we go here.
When you list complaints, are those responding to permits or just general?
These ones are permits.
Yep.
Yeah.
One with Eddystone, that was a complaint from the township, and Springfield was just a resident passing by.
Oh, for these mud runoff?
The Springfield
Springfield.
High School,
Yeah.
yeah, from, on Rolling Road where the trolley tracks are, right at that intersection there.
Yeah, they sent us photographs showing all the significant sediment pollution, you know, that you could see in the road. However, because of the rainfall intensity, they were getting compost filter socks and silt fence and a lot of the controls, the 2 or the 5-year storm exceed them all the time. So you're going to have pollution events in those type of rainfall. But that's one of the things we were we haven't gotten a lot of complaints, which I was surprised after the storms that we're getting.
Yeah.
We didn't get any after Ida, so.
Yeah. But that is a thing that it's the act of God clause, that if it's over a 5-year storm, the controls, they don't make anyone control above the 5-year storm, other than safety factors like sediment basin.
One of these recent storms that we had here that was just unbelievable flooding, we were going to New Jersey, we got into New Jersey, dry. And it was because the wind was coming from the southeast, I guess, and pushed it all back into Pennsylvania. Got down there, nothing was wet. It was really strange. I've never seen it that
The
abruptly.
Ida storm, it rained more up the northwest.
Right, right.
If it was a long watershed like the Schuylkill,
Mhm.
that had a lot of area up in the northwest,
Right.
and they got a lot of flooding down in Philadelphia.
Right, exactly, which they did. Like, we were on the road then too. It was like seeing the Vine Street Expressway filled in. Okay, Karen, now you're up. Thank you. Thank you.
I just wanted to add to the Spotted Lanternfly grant program, we also distributed Spotted Lanternfly management manuals
Oh, good.
to the Delco library system. So those are, I don't know if there's any left or if people took them, but they were set up on display there for visitors to take. An update on our trailer. So it's still under the Growing Greener grant, and it is very popular. So this fall it's been reserved almost every weekend. I want to say for half of September, and then just about every weekend in October. And I think maybe 1 or 2 in November.
It's nice to see it used, isn't it? It's
It's
wonderful.
great, yeah, and it's good to see.
That's a good idea. Now that live there, the conservation trailer was a very good idea, right?
Yeah, so that's going strong. Quick low volume road update. We've had a couple people contact us about applying for this round, so hopefully we get a couple applications. I've yet to do any site visits, but I do plan on reaching back out to people this month and hopefully get those applications together so we can have a competitive application round. And then I do know that Newtown Township, who was awarded last fall, they just awarded a contractor to do their project. So they are moving right along. And lastly, last week I attended a Coalition for the Delaware River Watershed forum, which was really cool because it's everyone, it involved the entire Delaware River watershed. So it had partners from New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. So it was really cool to see how people, organizations in other parts of other states are working together and how everything's tied together.
Yeah.
And its presentations are really neat.
Excellent.
Yeah. So that's all I wanted to highlight for my report, in case anyone has any questions.
Thank you. That was good. All righty, have we come to the end of our agenda? Yes. Yay.
Motion to go home?
Okay, our next meeting will be November 9th, because as you know, the second is election day, they never meet. They vote in here, don't they? People vote in here?
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Okay, yeah,
Second.
I know I keep counting it right.
Not necessarily.
Okay, thanks everybody for coming. And I'll
Take
see.
care.
Bye, everybody.
Remember.
Oh.
Bye-bye, Linda.
Thank
I
you.
think I don't have to sign any of these things, do I?
Yes,
Oh,
everything over $500.
Oh, no, I meant these pieces of paper.
No,